planet is a mirror of the chaos that's going on inside of us. And that if we wake up, not all humans are going to perish here, folks. The ones that are awake are going to thrive into the future. The structure that we've been living with is causing the extinction. So when the chaos that you see upon us, as it is right now, guess what? That's the structure collapsing. So humans, the way we've been living, are killing ourselves and the planet. So there's two choices. Continue what you're doing and enjoy the ride out, or change.
Hi, my name is Guy Lawrence, and thanks for tuning into my podcast today. If you're enjoying these conversations and you want to check out more of this transformational work, be sure to come back to guylawrence.com.au and join me as we go further down the rabbit hole. Enjoy the show. Bruce, welcome back to the podcast.
I am so delighted to be here with you, especially all of my Aussie friends out there.
Yeah, well, it's exciting. I've been officially, I know I've interviewed you many times in the past, but my personal podcast now I just passed its 3-year anniversary and it's gaining amazing momentum. It's reaching lots of people. And my intention for today is obviously have a wonderful conversation around everything that's going on, all your experience, and I have no doubt it'll come through for all the listeners tuning in. I wanted to mention as well, Bruce, I realized, I'm not sure if you knew this, but you must do. It's been just over 15 years since your book, Biology of Belief, came out, which blew my mind when I looked at that the other day. And the question I have for you is, over those 15 years, did you expect that book, when you released it, to have such an impact on momentum and the conversations that are still happening today, if not more and more that are coming out when you wrote it?
Let's put it this way. My life had changed so profoundly from a scientific point of view, and buying into the nature of spirituality as a scientific point of view, which I never believed in. And then my life had this profound change from, the new science. And I thought, if people could just see this, maybe they could take their power back. I took my power back and I offered the science of how that happened and why it happened and all that in our personal creation. And just, to help our audience here for 1 second, that quantum physics is the most valid science on the planet, the one that's been tested the most and affirmed to be truer than all sciences. And I go, relevance is the primary principle of quantum physics, actually even from 1927, when it was founded, was that consciousness is creating our life experiences. Now, that's mind over matter, of course. That's what it said in physics as a primary understanding. And my research led to part of that because it showed how mind was controlling genetics and behavior. Okay, so that was the broad statement from quantum physics. And then all of a sudden, epigenetics was like, oh my goodness, this is a mechanism of quantum physics. And when I saw that, and I said, it was a very true story, I understood that all of a sudden, I said, oh my God, we're creating this, not just from the idea of quantum physics, but from the idea of epigenetics and new biology. And I was so excited, I wanted to tell everybody. And I got a group of people together and I said, let me tell you this new science, because if you understand this new science, you create the most wonderful life. And the people in the audience looked at me and would go, Lipton, for a guy who says this stuff, your life doesn't look that good. And that was actually the most personal wake-up call in the whole world, because I was essentially saying, well, do as I say, but not as I do. And I realized, how can I talk about creating this wonderful life and I'm not an example of it? And I started to realize how to translate the science into behavior. And once that happened, then it was like, oh my God, it works. It really works. And that's when I really wanted to put the book out, because I thought if everybody understood this on their own personal level, it was empowerment, because knowledge is power. Knowledge of self-empowerment. And I saw this because I was a student of this myself. And I just wanted to give an opportunity. And I hoped it would go far and wide, because the consequence of doing this, understanding and living this new science, it manifested what I've found to be true, which I never believed. But heaven is right here on earth. But you have to have the consciousness empowered to experience that.
Yeah, so true what you say. There's a few things there, because we can certainly fill our heads with information because there's a lot of information out there. But if it's not actually changing us at a behavioral level and we're seeing it show up in our lives, I wonder how much information can we actually consume? And then we worry about which information we are consuming in the first place.
Well, as you said, the harder part, which was my experience as well, was, yeah, I can educate the conscious mind really quickly. Conscious mind is very creative, but we live our lives from the programming of subconscious mind. So the original idea was, well, if my conscious mind becomes aware, so does my subconscious mind. And I go, no, that was the big failure, because the two minds learn in different ways. So reading a book, going to a lecture, just going, aha, I can change conscious mind because that's creativity, but it doesn't change subconscious mind. And that's the disconnect in our world. Because if you understand, oh, you want to change the program, you have to do it in a different way. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a pathway. Because the biggest problem is people say, yeah, I want to change my life. And they try positive thinking and they do all this kind of stuff. And it doesn't change. It doesn't change. At some point, it's like, I'm a victim. It's not me, because I try, it's not working. And then we give up. And that's so unfortunate.
Can you, I've had many now, like I think I've done 155, maybe 160 podcasts on here. So I get this incredible range of amazing people to have conversations with, like yourself. And I've had many different doctors and people coming out. And some of them have always had reservations because of their profession, and they're worried about thinking what people might think, or if I start touching the word spirituality, and they're going to think I'm but it always leads to, they've come out. And I was really interested to know, was that like for you before biology belief? Or
we're talking about the conscious mind, which has creative wishes and desires, versus the subconscious mind, which runs off of programs, experience, learn, downloaded, etc. And when I was trying to write the book, and I say trying to write the book because I started 3 times. I got, because I knew the science of it and I knew what I wanted to say. And it ended up with that spirituality in the form of quantum physics, energy fields. And I kept failing. I get halfway through the book and it would fail. And halfway through the book and it would fail. And then I met my friend who developed the process called Psyche, which is one of the belief-changing modalities. And when we tested my belief system, which is my program, it would not support writing the book. And I go, but we tested why. And the answer was because it would undermine my academic standing as a recognized scientist doing real research. If you end with spirituality, this is so far out of the field of science back 20 years ago, 15 years ago, that you can't say spirituality and have it in science. It was like, no, that's voodoo over there. So my subconscious was saving my career by causing me to fail after the halfway through the book. I just wouldn't, it wouldn't go.
Wow.
And I had to change a belief. And that was real critical because I knew what I was doing now consciously, why it wasn't doing, and what I needed to do. Most people just experience that it's not working and don't recognize, oh, wait, there's an issue why things don't work. In a world where we're creators, that's the first question. Well, if we're really creators, why doesn't it work the way I want it to work? And what I was learning, of course, was my subconscious had a program of being a scientist, and there were the recognition nature of a scientist, and spirituality is not in the field. So if I end up with a book trying to take science and spirituality in a world that doesn't recognize it, it would have compromised my career.
Yeah. Wow.
And when I changed the belief, and then the most beautiful part was changing that program, all of a sudden the words came out like it was gushing out. The words just came downloaded and everything it was downloading, but it couldn't download when the subconscious mind started to go off with the old program. No, this is not good. Change the program, and all of a sudden a gusher, and the book came out right away.
Amazing. It's so wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, because I think we can project ourselves onto other people and say, oh, they've just got it in the bag. They're just, it's come easy to them, and all the rest of it, where I think we all have our internal struggles, our beliefs, and things that we have to move through to become who we are as we move forward.
Yeah, and the lesson from the cells were very clearly this, is that my consciousness, the picture in my mind, is translated by my brain into chemistry. The chemistry of the brain goes into the blood, and the chemistry is not nutrition, it's information, chemistry of information, coordination of genetics and behavior and everything to match the picture. So it's like a paint by numbers in reverse. There's a picture, and then the paint comes out and colors your body and your life to match that picture. And that's all of a sudden where it becomes so important to recognize that the picture that we have in our conscious creative mind is the one of wishes and desires. And unfortunately, the programming that we get in our subconscious mind, which is working 95% of the time, that program came from other people who didn't match your wishes and desires. And therefore, 95% of your behavior in life is coming from these programs that you got from other people. And then you would go, but yeah, but if I was seeing I was doing those bad programs, I would be, I would stop it. So it's not me. And I go, a story that I probably had with you in 2019, 2017 on the air, the same story, because it's 30 years. And that is, you have a friend, you know your friend's behavior very well, and you know your friend's parent. And then one day you see your friend has the same behavior as their parent. So you offer, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. And they say, back away from Bill. Because the moment you say that, inevitably, Bill's going to say, how can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And everyone laughs because they've experienced it. And I go, this is the most profound message in the entire world in one story. Most profound message in the world. I go, what do you mean? Everyone else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. The only one who doesn't see it is Bill. And I go, well, where did he get the behavior from? I said, well, that was the first 7 years where he downloaded the programs into his new brain computer to put programs into it. And he copied his father, and that's the program. And then 95% of his life is coming from the program. And so he's playing that father's program 95% of the time. But then he said, but he doesn't see it. And I say, why not? Well, first question, why is the subconscious running the show 95% of the time instead of the conscious, which is the creative mind? This is the program mind. I say, why? And the answer is because conscious has two options: to look out at the world and create, or to turn inside and think. Thinking is inside. Guy, what are you doing, on Thursday? And if it's not written in front of you at this moment, and it's not Thursday, and I say, what are you doing on Thursday? In a moment, you could tell me what you were doing on Thursday. I said, where'd you get it? I said, in my mind. I said, where'd you go? Where did you direct your consciousness to answer the question? I said, I'm not looking out. I'm now looking in. Thinking is inside. 95% of a normal average person's life is spent thinking. So I say, so why is that relevant? I say, that means that the conscious mind, which has the option of being creative or thinking, is now 95% of the time in thinking. Creativity is not the program anymore, because the autopilot that takes over when you're thinking to carry out the things. You can walk, you can talk, you can drive your car without thinking about it. It's automatic. And I say, automatic, subconscious. I go, 95% of that behavior is coming from subconscious. I say, and why can't you see it? And I say, why are you playing it? And the answer is, I'm playing it because my conscious is not paying attention. I go, that's why you can't see it. And all of a sudden I go, so the idea that Bill behaves like this and then is affronted by, what do you mean I'm like my father? Is, guess what? We're all Bill. Every one of us is Bill, because every one of us is doing this every day, operating 95% of the time from automatic, not observing it, because that's how much time we've been thinking what we're going to do next, where we're going, what happened, whatever. And I go, so why is it relevant? Because like Bill, all of us are like sleepwalking through this thing, playing these automatic programs, but we didn't put those programs in there from our creation. We put them in there from our programming, from family and community. And so those behaviors do not necessarily support who we are. And about 70% of the downloaded programs that we did get do not support our health, our vitality, our wishes, and our desires. I go, why? Then I go, simple mathematics. Okay, 95% of your life is not coming from creativity, it's coming from program. And 70% of those programs are disempowering and self-sabotaging and limiting. And then you look at your life and go, yeah. And I go, how do you get out of it? And I say, well, you have to stop thinking. That's called being mindful. I go, well, that's very difficult in this world where you're getting called on to make every action from a thought and response and interpretation and, you know, and I go, so this is why, let me just shorten the whole story by saying the movie The Matrix is listed as science fiction, but I refer to it as a documentary. And the reason why is simple. Why? Because as the premise of the show goes, everyone is programmed. I go, that's given. First 7 years of your life is programming. That's science, okay? And I go, then what? But the cool part of the whole story was if you take the red pill, you get out of the program. Well, they didn't really go fully into the meaning of that. My life has experienced it for this simple reason, because I understood one thing which science has now backed up. When you fall in love, now it could be with a person, that's most people's experience, but you can fall in love with, you're an artist and you fall in love with making pictures. You're a chef, you fall in love with making this most fabulous meal, you know, whatever, a gardener. So falling in love is when you, what science has recognized, and what I'm going to say right now is you stop thinking when you're in that moment of love and you experience it. I say, how do you experience it? I'm not thinking. I'm being mindful. That's the word. I said, what does that mean? It's like, I'm being present, paying attention to what's going on right now and not taking my mind and going in a thought. I say, so why is it relevant? I say, that's the mind of creativity. So I say, normally it's only 5%. But when you fall in love, science has recognized 90% or more of your activities are coming from your creative mind, not your program. I say, so your life could be blah, 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 blah. What? 95% of my life coming from program. I fall in love. The next day, 24 hours later, life is beautiful, man. Life is, oh God, I love life. Life is the most wonderful thing. It's heaven on earth. I go, 24 hours? You went from blah, 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 and 24 hours, it's like heaven on earth? I go, that was the red pill. It meant that you stop operating from that creative moment by giving it to the subconscious to play whatever the programs are. You took over the control. Conscious mind grabs the control and manifests what it does best, imagination, which is what? Wishes and desires. And all of a sudden, I go, that's the red pill. Now, that honeymoon period disappears only because at some point you start thinking, remember, you met your partner and both partners are operating from wishes and desires. Neither of them are playing programs. They're wishes and desires. And I go, but when you start thinking, all of a sudden, then life is not coming from wishes and desires. Now it's coming from program. I go, all of a sudden, these behaviors show up and your partner's going, where the hell did that behavior come from? Who are you? All of a sudden, it's like a new person just entered the room. I go, that was the programming that you always live with, but you stopped playing when you created the honeymoon. And the more thinking you have to do because of life, jobs, chores, responsibilities, the more thinking you have to do, the more these programs start to come up and become the takeover. I said, well, remember, you fell in love with two creative conscious minds. Now you're dealing with what? Two program minds. And if the programs aren't the same, the relationship is blown out of the water, okay? And it doesn't mean they have to be blown out of the water, but the juiciness and creativity and the experience of heaven on earth sort of disappears, and then life becomes life, okay? Yeah. And so I just want people to recognize that movie, Matrix, is real, that yes, we've all been programmed, and 95% of our life coming from that program. And the moment you stop playing that program is the moment you create the life of wishes and desires. But then you have to stay mindful, and that's all of a sudden where the whole drawback comes from, because it's like, well, now it's damn hard to stay, keep your mind present when you have so many thoughts you have to deal with to carry out your life. So then
it's massive. Hey, yeah, no, it's beautiful. I think I heard somebody say once, love what you do, and then the do what you love will come. and to bring that in and harvest each moment.
That's exactly what it is. So I say you stayed in love. Why? Because now what you're doing, your attention is so present because this is what you do that you're excited. You keep that presence. So when you wake up and you love your job, I mean, I love my job. I wake up, it's like, I got a great job. And the job doesn't have to be it either. The idea is I have a great life.
Yeah.
The job could be sweeping up the damn bathroom at the station, But the point is what? That's not my life. That's my job. Then I have my life, and I could have the most romantic, Don Juan life, whole experience kind of thing over here, and push the broom over there for that. Okay, that's my contribution, and then my consequence of that contribution is my gift is what? Now create on your own. You did that job, you could go home, create on your own. What do you want to create?
Yeah.
So
exactly. I think first, like on my own journey, like this work works, if people are listening, because I've had to come over so many of my own beliefs, cultural beliefs, everything to be on my path now, on my calling. And even to the point where about 5-6 years ago, I was in a meditation retreat for a long time, and I have 6 days, and I had an awakening, a huge awakening. And I felt beyond my body. I felt like there was in this expansive state that I'm like, okay, I've read about this, I've heard about this, but this for me, it was as real as me. And I come back and integrated that back into my life. And I thought, oh my God, what is going on? And it drove a lot of passion for me. And then it helped erode a lot more fundamental beliefs and things like that. And I don't know whether I'm in my little podcast bubble and I'm having conversations that reaffirm my reality about these things, and I'm just biasly doing my thing, or that this information is getting out there. And when I look at what's happened in the world, especially over the last year, going into 21 now, I still baffles me why these things aren't spoken about, conversationed about in the information that's being broadcasted in. Especially when you speak about love, and obviously the opposite of that is fear, and who we are and what we're capable of.
And it's interesting because there's a simple dynamic here. Love is empowerment and fear is disempowerment. That's simple law. Disempowerment means I'm afraid somebody else has to help me now. I'm the victim and I'm disempowered. I got no power. So fear means you help me whatever way you think. And I go, well, you let go of the control in that point, okay? And the world is, you can look at it, and the world is in chaos, and it's not just COVID. COVID is just one of things, sort of like climate change, and people don't even recognize the real climate change. They always talk about the water levels rising in coastal cities. Like, oh yeah, that is a problem. You want to hear a bigger problem? Agriculture. I say, what do you mean? I say, you cannot depend on the weather to get from seeds to harvest when you don't know, it's not going to rain now. Oh, it changed. Okay. Oh, it got too hot. Oh no, it got too cold. And I go, yeah, it's not predictable. It's gone out. It's changed. So all of a sudden it says, oh my God, yeah, water coming up is one thing. No food, that might be another problem that's coming up here right now. And I go, okay, so that, and I go, yeah, but there's racial strife, there's religious strife, there's economic upheaval, there's social disorganization, political screw-ups, and all this going on simultaneously. And I go, it's not a coincidence. And I go, for a very simple reason is this: human civilization and its behavior, cultural behavior, the way we live on this planet, human civilization has precipitated what is referred to as the sixth mass extinction of life. I go, well, first of all, that must have meant there were 5 mass extinctions if we're at number 6. I go, yeah, 5 times the history of this planet, life was thriving, and some cataclysmic event upended nature and caused mass extinctions. The last one, 66 million years ago, lush planet, tropical forests everywhere, and dinosaurs all over the place. And then a comet hits near Mexico, a giant comet, but it really shakes up the environment, and the web of life collapses, and the dinosaurs are gone, the forests are gone, the whole damn thing. And 66 million years ago, that happened. And now we come and we built it all up into this we're back again. It's a beautiful garden. And now it's dying faster than in some mass extinctions earlier. And I go, what do you mean? I said, we're losing species of organisms faster than you can imagine. I mean, if you were alive in 1970 and they did a survey of how many animals were on this planet, today they redid it. And 2/3 of the animal life of this planet have disappeared since 1970. We're down to 1/3 of the population. 90% of the fish are gone. And that they expect by 2048, the remaining fish are going to be gone. I go, well, what's happening here? I go, human civilization has upended the environment. We've, raped and pillaged the planet. We're monocropping where that's antagonistic to normal life. I go, human behavior by science, not by me, has recognized that human behavior is the cause of a mass extinction that we're experiencing, and that humans are in that extinction process, and that this is not 1,000 years from now. This is within the century, within a couple of decades. And I go, so why is it relevant? It says, humans, the way we've been living, are killing ourselves and the planet. So there's two choices. Continue what you're doing and enjoy the ride out, or change. And we're being confronted with that. And I say, and guess what? The change is happening. You say, yeah, well, what do you mean? I see this thing is just collapsing and crazy and it's chaos. I go, that's part of the evolution. Why? The structure that we've been living with, the way we've been living, is causing the extinction. You want to have a different result, you've got to change the damn structure, because the structure is causing it. So when the chaos that you see right now is upon us, as it is right now, guess what? That's the structure collapsing. And I go, wow, that's scary. And I go, yep, a caterpillar is the most voracious of organisms. They put a caterpillar on a plant, it will eat all the leaves off the plant. And then I said, what happens then? I said, then a caterpillar stops growing and stops moving and puts itself in a cocoon. And I said, then what happens? And I said, well, there's a transformation, a metamorphosis from a caterpillar to a butterfly. And I go, oh, from the most voracious of organisms to the lightest of organisms. And I go, that's a metamorphosis. Yeah. And I say, well, civilization's in a state of metamorphosis. Why? The voracious appetite of human civilization has destroyed the environment that no longer supports us. So what are we doing? We're stopping. I mean, COVID is a good moment of like, hey, you can't do this anymore. Jobs are changing. You can't do this anymore. You got to rethink what's going on here. Okay. We're in a cocoon. I say, go back, that caterpillar in a cocoon made out of millions and millions of cells, and cells are like miniature people. So if you were in a caterpillar body, and all of a sudden the world that was growing every day and eating and moving and doing all the work, there's no work anymore. No food's coming in. We're not moving. The jobs fall apart. The caterpillar body starts turning into a soup of cells out of work. There's no work going on here. And then in the midst of them, there are a group of cells which have a wonderful name called imaginal cells. And they have a vision of a future, the butterfly. And what are they doing? Coordinating the soup of cells to form something new, a new structure. Okay? So I say, so why is it relevant? I said, you can look at today's world, we're in the cocoon. And it's not just falling apart, it's also rebuilding. And you have two choices. You could focus on the one falling apart going, oh, it's falling apart. Or you could focus on the one like, this is the way to go from here into a sustainable future. New technology, new social organization, new respect for women and race, and new recognition. Every one of us is a cell in the same body of humanity. And I see you have two choices at this very moment. Look at the chaos, live in fear, which will kill you, or recognize, I understand the chaos, and I know that I need to be building this over here, and move your energy into the up instead of the down. And this is what we're being called upon. And so in every country, I mean, man, the fires that racked Australia, what was that? Humans interfering with nature. It was only the Aborigines that knew they had controlled burns. Why? If they didn't do it on a controlled level, the whole damn thing would explode. But nobody wants to follow the indigenous people who lived here forever because we know better. It's always interesting because the original mission statement of science, which is still pretty much the mission statement from Francis Bacon back in 1600s, mission statement: to dominate and control nature, science. I go, how's that working out? And I go, it's killing us, man. Because it's not science, it's really people that are capitalizing called technology. And that's an unfortunate situation because we blame it on science. No, science came up with a principle understanding. It was technology. People said, how can I translate that into money?
Yeah.
That's where the problem came from. It's not the science that gave us pharmaceuticals. It's the pharmaceutical company that saw the science and said, I can sell you pharmaceuticals. Okay. So I really get upset because they all, oh, there's science and science. I go, no, science is right. It's, you gave the control to the technology people that manifest matter from that science. That's where it's the technology, not the science. Science is giving us answers. Are we going to listen? Which is what? Return to the harmony of the planet that the indigenous people knew and lived in, because it was a garden and they took care of it. A garden is not a battleground. That's what we turned it into. A garden is the height of cooperation. I go, geez, that's just the complete opposite of the competition that we have been driven by, competition. And it's like, yep, no, that's not evolution. Evolution is cooperation. Ah, inside the cocoon, baby. Are we cooperating with the new one? And if you are, successes in your life.
Yeah, that's beautifully put. You know, it's funny you talk about those analogies, because after hearing you talk and other people, I always think about myself now as that individual cell, and my immediate family are cells, and then the people in my community are cells, and then it fades out, and it helps give me power to think, okay, if I can actually be a good influence here, just like within my body, as opposed to isolating something and it's all about me, but if I can have a ripple effect that I can affect other cells around me, then hopefully that will feed into the bigger contribution. And like I said, it always makes me feel empowered by doing something like that I am contributing in some way, as opposed to being stressed, closing down and closed off and not letting any new information in.
Yeah, well, that's what fear does. Fear is a close down. Fear is protection. Fear is put yourself in a spore, put yourself in a capsule, hide. I say, you cannot survive in a spore. A spore, life stops in a spore. And the point about it is this: you cannot stay in protection because it walls you off from the outside, be it nutrition or information, assimilation, whatever's out there. To grow, you have to be open. If you close down for fear, well, if you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, yeah, close down for fear and operate a protection. But a saber-toothed tiger, if you make it, 15 minutes later, there's no more saber-toothed tiger, okay? And everything goes back to better again. And I go, but in today's world, that saber-toothed tiger for most people is chasing them 24/7, 365. They're always like, am I going to make it? Am I going to get enough money? Am I going to get healthcare? Am I going to, and running? I say, that saber-toothed tigers, we created that. It's not really there unless you buy into the story of competition. Darwinian. Life is a struggle for survival with a competition for fitness. I guess, wow, that's not, evolution is cooperation. That's complete separation. I'm fitter than you. Screw you.
Yeah.
And I say, well, that's Darwinian. He wins because he wins. He could be Albert Einstein. He could be some jerk with an Uzi. I go, who's going to win that one? And basically start to recognize we're competing in a garden that is only based on the concept of cooperation.
Yeah. When it comes to stress, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this, because when we're in the stress response, we only see more stress, like you said, and most of it's not even real. It's like the saber-toothed tiger is not there, but I'm feeling it right now and I'm getting caught up and I have to do. What would your advice be to to breaking them cycles, do we have to break first to then self-reflect? Or
no, you first have to self-reflect, and then you have to say, now that I see what's going on, what can I do about it? You have to see what's going on, okay? Because knowledge is power. You can't close your eyes and then pretend that I know what the hell I'm doing. I got to see what's going on. But then I have to then change my behavior to not support an old story, but to put that behavior like you did into, can I take what is helping me and use it to help others? That's basically what cooperation is. I want you to be as healthy as I am. I want you to enjoy what I'm enjoying it. How did I get there? Oh, let me tell you how I got there. And so basically it says this, as we talked about, we've all been programmed. The computer that is the brain can't work unless first you put programs in it. And that's first 7 years of life is the program period. And the Jesuits have told people for 400 years, nobody paid attention, but for 400 years, they said, give me a child until it's 7, I will show you the man. I say they knew the science I'm talking about. Why? They knew that the first 7 years of your life is download programs from family and community, and that the rest of your life is 95% from that program. So they already were telling you, you're programmed. They were telling people that already. So the fact this is not a new idea, but the reality is this, you have been programmed. Most of the programming occurred before you were even near conscious. When you were 0, you were programmed. When you were 1, you were programmed, et cetera. And so I say, we need to get out of this damn thing. I say, well, the first thing you need to do is understand your program. I say, because it's your program that is participating in creating what's going on in here. So I say, well, how do you know what your program is? You weren't there when the programs were installed. And like, Bill, you're playing the programs. You can't see them. How the hell do I know what the programs are? And then I go, very simple. 95% of your life is from the program. Your life is a printout of your program. I say, why is it relevant? I said, well, now just stop for a moment here and look around and say, the things that you like that show up in your life, how'd they get there? I got a program to acknowledge that. The things you want, desire, wish for, and you have to struggle and work hard and put a lot of time and a lot of effort and sweat. I'm going to make all this. I'm going to make it. I go, how come you're working so hard? And the answer is, inevitably, you have a program that doesn't support that reality, and you're trying to override the program with effort. I go, you don't need effort to override the program. You just need to shut the damn program off. It's not run from the program. And then heaven on earth is the consequence of it. So basically, the first thing all of us need to do is say, where am I struggling? The struggling is not coming from outside. I'm not a victim of struggle. I'm a creator. So then I also say, oh, well, then I'm a creator of struggle. I go, yes. And I say, well, then what you have to look at is where or why are you doing this? And if you want to change it, yeah, you can change it, but you have to change the program. And the conscious mind and subconscious mind learn in different ways. And that's been the monkey wrench in everybody's life, because people look at their life and say, I don't like this. I want a different life. And they have imagination and wishes, and this is what I want. And then they struggle and they have wishes and imagination. And I go, that's the 595, wishes, imagination, 5%. If you make it 90%, it becomes heaven on earth. Okay. But it's only 5% and 95% of the program. And I say, so I now have wishes and desires up here. I know what I want. I say, did that change the program? No. That's the biggest problem, because the idea was, oh, if the conscious mind can think about it, then the subconscious mind must agree with me. I go, no, the subconscious mind is a different entity. It learns in a different way. So I can create the most wonderful vision of heaven on earth and everything I love. And I go, yeah, that's 5% of your creative power. But 95% is coming from this program that you got from parents and family and community and school, whatever they put those programs in there. And I go, and what about that? I said, this does not translate, conscious does not translate to subconscious. They talk a different way. I go, why? I said, they learn in different ways. Conscious is creative. Point. Well, creative means I can learn it anyway. Read the book, whatever, video, whatever. Go, aha, just change the conscious mind. I say, what about subconscious? It's a habit mind. So I say, if the habit changes, it's not a habit. So the idea of the habit mind resists change, because the idea of a habit is I got the program, push the button, it's always going to play. And the subconscious mind, where the habits are, a lot of people think that's evil. I go, hey, when did you learn how to walk, guy? Probably before you were 2. You're still walking? Did you have to relearn? You could be up to 100 and you'll still be walking. I say, that's a program. You learned that before you were 2. There are many good programs. When you have a good program, it's wonderful because you don't have to put any more effort into it. It's automatic. Okay, but you got a bad program, that's terrible because you don't put any effort into it and it's automatic. So I say, you want to change the subconscious, you have to teach it in a different way that subconscious learns. It doesn't learn from creative, read a book. No.
Yeah.
It learns in 3 different ways. Number 1, first 7 years of your life, the brain is operating at a vibration lower than consciousness. Vibration meaning putting wires on a person's head, EEG, electroencephalograph, read their brain vibration. Different levels of vibration reflect different states of consciousness. Theta is the first 7 years. That's just below consciousness. And it's also hypnosis. So for 7 years, a child is unconsciously downloading behaviors from all those around them. To what? That's the behaviors that create culture. That's the behaviors that create family. How do I learn them? I watch, download them. Now I've already learned how to be a member of the family and the community. I didn't even read a book. Hypnosis. After age 7, no, you can still create new programs. I say, how do you do that? I go, repetition. You want to play a music instrument? You didn't just pick it up and play it. You had to practice and practice. You want to drive a car? The first day you got in there, it froze you maybe, but you had to practice, and now you can drive a car without thinking about it, okay? Anything that you want to make like into a habit, it's practice, repetition. So that's the second way of creating a program. And the third way is expedient, very fast. Nature said we need to learn to change our behavior quickly because we're facing an extinction in the immediate future. And so there must be better, faster ways to change the program, because those first 2 are slow.
Yeah.
And the third way is what is called energy psychology. It's a modality. It engages something equivalent to super learning. And super learning, most people don't know what that means. I say, well, maybe you've seen somebody read a book where they just move the finger down the page, just like that. As fast as they just did that, they read every word on that page. That's using a super learning technique. Well, if you can use super learning to reprogram, then you can change beliefs that have been inhibiting you for years. You can change it. I don't care, he's 60, 70 years old. You can still change that program very quickly using what is called energy psychology. And just to give people insight, on my website, simple, brucelipton.com, under resources are 25 or more different versions of energy psychology, just so you can see there are many different ways to get there. So there are 3 ways: hypnosis, repetition, energy psychology. What do you want to do? Look at your life. Where's the struggle? Recognize the struggle is not from outside, it's from the inside. That I can rewrite that. So now I know what I'm struggling. So I also know what I want. So you want to program not struggle. You want to program I want. Not actually, you don't even want to program I want. You want to program I have. I am already. You got to program the end picture, not the transition picture. Transitions, I want this. I say, record that today and let's come back next year. And I say, how's that program? Let's hear it. I want this. I go, oh, you're still wanting. I go, wanting is a character on its own. It's not the destination. You're just going to be a want. So it's I am, I have. These are the kinds of programs that have to go in as if you already have what you want. Then the job of the mind is to take that belief and turn it into reality through your behavior. So I say, yeah, just look at your life. The programs are staring you in the face. They're hitting you in the face, the programs. Why? Because wherever you're finding struggle, it's not because the environment won't give it to you. It's because your program doesn't support it. And now you know what to change. And if you know how to change it, then heaven on earth does not have to be a short honeymoon segment of your life. Heaven on earth can be every day of your life, because when you have your wishes and desires as programs, then 95% of the day, they're automatically what? Manifesting your program without you even thinking about it, because that's what you're doing right now. But the programs you're using may not be giving you what you want.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Bruce. It's I think of it like, I'll just reflect on my own journey. It's a way of being, isn't it? And I think I struggle to remember what my old self was like, because I've been kind of involved in this so long. Like the old self was so familiar with itself. I just assumed that's who I was, and I attached my whole identity to it. But from doing this work and unlayering, I'm now and it's still me, but it's a different me, but it's just a different way of being. And my mood, my attitude, my perceptions, everything has definitely changed, even though I didn't notice it like in one moment.
No, it actually, the only way you really see the change is to look back.
Yeah.
In the process of change, you don't see it because it's live action. It's only when you look back and go, well, how were those actions? Now you have review. You can see it. In the midst, it's process.
Yeah, absolutely. I got one little last thing I'd love to touch on before we wrap up. And that is, because you mentioned about the new science of quantum physics. And, you know, I think you even mentioned it's been the most studied science as well, but we don't hear about it at all. You know, we don't hear about energy medicine. We don't hear the effects of this makeup and this exchange of us. And it blows my mind, really. Well, I just wanted you to talk to that a little bit and what your thoughts are on all this.
Very much so. What does the new science mean? What is quantum physics? What is energy healing science? Let's choose that one first, because that's an easier one.
Okay.
One of the, if it's not the top, it's the second top income producing corporation is pharmaceutical industry. Okay. They're the top income of corporations, all the corporations. They sell drugs. I go, yeah, so what? Well, that's because I believe I'm a victim. And if I have an illness, I have to buy their product. I'm a victim. They're the seller of that product. And I will buy, it's like, God, I mean, it's just horrific, because they're not involved with humanity. Excuse me. Pharmaceutical companies are corporations. And why I emphasize that very much is, first law of I'm making a corporation, the first principle of a corporation is its mission is to create a profit for its shareholders. Whatever the hell its mission is, its mission of a corporation is to provide profit. If it doesn't do that, then it fails the mission statement, and in court could be broken because it didn't do it. Okay. So I say, pharmaceutical industry is a corporation. Its job is to make money. I say, so what? I go, well, it makes money by what? Having you believe that the only way to heal yourself is through the chemistry called drugs that they sell at exorbitant prices. Okay. And to me, it's like, it's the worst criminal action ever for this reason. Let's say my brother had hepatitis C, and the story like, well, it's going to live through it, but it's going to shorten your life, and you can't do anything about it. And then they come up with a pill. I go, wow, they got a pill for hepatitis C. $1,000 per one pill. How many pills do you need? Well, a year's worth. Actually, you need over 100 pills. I say, why is it relevant? Then the prescription you just bought to save your life is going to be over $100,000 just for the pill. I go, whoa, jeez. Well, 60% of bankruptcies in the United States due to medical costs. I got hepatitis C. Where the hell am I going to come up with $100,000 to buy pills? I'm going to go bankrupt. I'm going to sell everything I got. I'm going to be on the road in a van. Okay. Worse one. There's a childhood disease, which is a muscle neurojunction thingy. And children that have this have a short lifespan. And they get to be like toddlers at some level, and then boom, crash. So here's a woman who just gives birth to this baby, finds out the baby has this syndrome with a genetic issue there, okay? And it's like old days. This baby's not going to live that long, okay? New days. They have a drug, a genetic engineering form to take care of this. My baby, you're going to save my baby. Yes. It costs $1 million to buy the drug, to buy the process. I thought they might as well put a mask over their face and a gun in their hand and say, you want that kid to live? Give me $1 million. Like, geez. Are they worried about the patient? No, they're worried about the profit. And I go, so why is energy medicine a problem for them? And the answer is energy medicine reveals you don't need pharmaceuticals to heal yourself. You just need to change energy fields, which is quantum physics. And I go, so why is it relevant? It says, if you could put energy into a capsule, the pharmaceutical companies would be selling that energy drug at this very minute. But you cannot put it into a unit and sell it. And therefore, it is competition for drug companies. The more you buy energy healing, the less you buy drugs. So the medical industry is led by this pharmaceutical industry, which has got its hands in the FDA, which is the Federal Drug Administration in the United States. It's still run by these the medical schools teach by funding, and funding comes from big organizations like pharmaceutical industry. So you teach what is in their interest. So medical schools do not fully go into this new area of healing and all that. That is fundamentally the direction we need. Why? Corporate interest. So that's number one. And I go, well, that quantum physics is just more than just your own physical body. It's about creating this whole world. You mean I can be empowered using quantum physics knowledge in my life? Oh, yeah. Okay, then we're not going to tell you about it. That's the leadership of the world. Well, we're not going to tell them. They don't want us to be empowered. I remember movie Sicko by Michael Moore, and there was a British parliamentarian, Tony Benn, interviewed. And Tony Benn said outright, straight in your face, he said, governments do not want a healthy, intelligent population because they're difficult to control. And I look at the world and I go, especially US, where I'm old, I remember a long time ago, we were something. We were the leadership in technology. We were the leadership, I mean, in all kinds of things, education and everything. And now we're like the stupid country down near the bottom in the West, and one of the unhealthiest of all countries, even though they spend the most money. I go, we are living exactly what Tony Benn said. He said that governments do not want you to have this. And I go, it's quite unfortunate because the new physics, quantum physics, is about 100 years old in another couple of years. So it's like, okay, it shouldn't be the new physics, and it should be the most understood science of the entire public, because it is a science of your consciousness is creating this. And if you don't like what this is, you can change your consciousness. And all of a sudden that freedom, what do we get out of it? Oh, we got computers and cell phones and atomic bombs and things like that. But do we get any freedom out of it? That's not the side of the physics they're offering the public.
Yeah. And I remember, I think Greg Braden touched on it when he spoke about if they did have our best interests at heart and we were exploring science constantly, sure, we would all be having a healthy discussion to move forward, and not this separation, and then just putting the information out that they want you to hear at any one stage.
Most important fact is, if we just stop the conversation, I just add this one more, I think, very most important fact, and that is this. When stress hormones are released into the system, they shut down the immune functions. They shut it down. I say, really? I said, yeah, it's so powerful that when they do like a transplant of an organ, a kidney, a lung, a heart, that they give the recipient stress hormones before the operation, because that will limit the function of the immune system in rejecting the foreign organ. I go, you mean stress hormones are that powerful that it's used therapeutically to shut off the immune system? I go, yeah. I go, then what do you think about watching the fear that is propagated every minute of the day on news stations, which are not news stations, they're now entertainment stations because they're selling ads. And I go, what is it all about? It's fear. The flu is coming. Well, it's not flu, it's called the COVID. It's coming. It's going to kill you. It's like, I'm a recipient at home. I just got fear. I go, why is that relevant? Well, you just started to shut down the immune system. You're now opening yourself up for the fear to manifest itself. And as long as you keep people in fear, you control them, because fear shuts off the I'm open to the world, puts you into the spore, and then says, somebody else take care of this.
Yeah.
And that's where we live.
The world's going crazy sometimes. I do wonder. I'm aware of the time, Bruce. I just got a couple of little questions to ask you. One is, you clearly are a very happy, loving, excitable guy. Every time I speak to you, I always feel fantastic getting off a call and everything. I'm like, wow, and do you have any morning routines or practices for yourself, or do you just kind of live it these days and you're just with it?
Well, I did a lot of that reprogramming, as I mentioned, because I'm trying to tell people how it worked. I had to do it myself. Otherwise, I can't say that it worked. And I went back and I started to reprogram the things that put me into I'm the victim. I'm under pressure. I got to do this because of whatever communal reason. What if I don't agree with that? It's like, oh, I can do my own. Oh, and so I reprogrammed most of it. And Margaret, my partner, and I, both understanding of the programming, both understanding that I might be Bill, I can't see what I'm doing or saying, but it might be self-destructive. But she, as observing me, can tell me that. And the problem is when other people do this for other people, then the recipient of the criticism gets really like, I'm being criticized. And I go, well, that starts a fight. We're not criticizing, because we both know the programming is invisible, and that if I can't see it and she can, then she's my partner. And as a partner, she's really free to say, maybe that behavior it wasn't the greatest thing, which gives then me an opportunity to review and go, no, I don't like that behavior. Change it. So hypnosis, repetition, energy psychology, rewrite it. And as I've gone through now, with a lot of, we both came into this understanding, and we both then have helped each other rewrite. And so the result is what? Now both of us are experiencing heaven on earth, because both of us have cleared. So what do I do every day? I live my life just normally. 95% of it, I don't even see what the hell's going on. But guess what? When I default to that subconscious, I know that the programs are running now are programs that support and enhance my vitality versus the ones I got programmed with originally that took away my power. So that's the fun part of reprogramming. Once the program is in you, there's no more work. It's automatic. It's been automatic all your life anyway, but the programs, they're not necessarily supporting you. But that's where we discuss, well, find out which ones aren't, and then you could rewrite them.
Yeah, no, beautiful. I was only having a conversation the other day about, somebody asked me, do you think it's always a struggle and you're always coming up against yourself and you've always got to work hard and you miss the beauty in from doing the work kind of thing? And I think you just answered it then, which is
well, that's his belief system. You see, this is the issue with belief systems. A skeptic who says, Bruce, you're full of this and it doesn't work, is right in their world, because they decided that that's not part of their belief system. And if it's not part of their belief system, then they're still back in some other place where they are. But they're right, because if they try to change whatever without following this thing, it's not going to work, because they already disbelieve it's going to work. And I go, well, then a skeptic is right for them, but it's not necessarily right for me, because I want to have a different belief. And so therefore, you have to recognize everybody's right. Henry Ford, founder of the Ford Motor Company, you know the phrase. He said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that's the bottom line. So a skeptic, in my opinion, it says, Bruce, you're so full of it. And I go, in your world, you do what you want. In my world, I'm going to do and believe what I want.
Mm.
And it seems like I might be happier than you, Mr. Skeptic.
Amen to that. Last question, Bruce. Everything we covered today, and I think about the year that's been had and moving forward and everything. Is there anything you'd like to leave our listeners to ponder on?
Yeah, I would like to say COVID, if I can say this, and I'm going to say this, Bruce Lipton, personal message. You don't have to believe anything I'm saying. So I can now say something, okay? And I want to say something is that we have been confusing the virulence of the virus with the weakness of the patient. I go, what do I mean? I say, COVID has it's a real thing. You can get a flu, and it's harsher than any flu you may have had in the past. But it's not life-threatening if you're not in a comorbidity situation, meaning you have something in your health that's already affecting your immune system, and that's now interfere with your ability to make a response. So there are people that are healthy, and there are people with comorbidities, things like overweight, okay? People with a cardiac issue already, people that have cancer, people that already have problems already. In America, which I have the data for, which is why so many Americans are dying, 60% of Americans have one comorbidity. That's interfering, but that's not the problem. 40%, 4 out of 10 Americans have a total of 2.7 comorbidities, between 2 and 3, whatever, 2 or 3 overlapping simultaneously. I go, why is that relevant? I say 1 is a compromise, 2 is serious, and 3 is like, you're already counting out, man. You already got a problem. And I say, why is it relevant? Because 80% or so or more of the people get this thing and have that extended flu, which they don't want to call it because they want to make it a fearsome item by itself. Don't call it a flu, it's COVID. COVID viruses, the coronaviruses have been around here for 1 million years, man. This is just a version that we haven't had in our human population. And so that's why everyone is susceptible. It hasn't been in this population, so everyone's open to it. And I go, yeah. I says, is everyone going to die? Because that's the fear that is being propagated. I go, no. Matter of fact, 80% or more of the people just have the flu. They don't even go to the doctor or go to a hospital. They manage it. I go, so why is it relevant? I said, the fear of the flu is more dangerous in my mind than the actual flu itself. And I say, well, dangerous itself. I go, well, then first you have to do personal assessment. Do you have comorbidities? Do you have a heart issue? Are you overweight? Do you have diabetes? Do you have any of these other things? Why? Well, you have to start adding those things up and saying, man, I'm susceptible. But if you don't have these comorbidities, yeah, I'm susceptible, but it's just going to be the flu and I'll manage it. And I say, but the fear shuts off the immune system, stress hormones. And the fear is being sold rampantly. Oh, you're going to get it this way. It's going to come this way. And this is going to happen to you. And you got 5 different things that are going to happen. And this is going to kill you. And I go, shut up. Because what you're doing is feeding a weakness that you already told people that we're susceptible to this and it's going to get you. I go, every year is flu season and every year people die. Yeah, a lot of people are dying this year. I go, well, a couple of reasons. A, this flu has never been around before, so everyone is susceptible to it. And B, the human population in a state of collapse of civilization is weakened. The food we eat is industrialized garbage, okay? The animals and plants that are stressed to hell to provide for this, to make the dollar and all that, is compromised the value of all that. Then you throw the fear in of this and the fear of that. You can get this and you could lose your job and you don't have any money to pay for this. It's like, oh my God, lockdown. Oh my God. Some people can't afford to live week to week without the paycheck. And then you lock them down. You tell me if that stress isn't going to shut off their immune system. I say, you bet it is. And then you find out, well, who are the more susceptible people? The weakest ones in the community, of course. And that comes down to class, like in the U.S., the blacks, they don't have they're already the weakest ones, and now you got to throw that on top of them. Okay? And we have to wake up now. And the wake up is this. I want to be healthy. Yeah, but that hasn't been a mission. When you go to the doctor, it doesn't say, listen, before I give you the pill, I want you to do all these exercise things and eat this way, and I want you to stay healthy, and then I'll give you the pill. No. Here's the pill. And maybe you should take care of yourself. I go, what do you mean? First, take care of yourself, take the pill later. And the reality is that is not the mission statement. A doctor doesn't really emphasize, if I give you a prescription for the pill, I want you to follow this prescription to get healthy. I can't help you if you're not healthy. And the pill's not going to help you either. And yet the idea, are they selling health first? No. First they're selling the pill. The health will come later. I go, backwards. Totally backwards. We have to take care of ourselves. Eat healthy, eat organic, do exercises, move, get the circuit. You got to use this machine. Use it or lose it. That applies to every part of our human body, from mind to toes. Use it or lose it. And we're not being encouraged with the idea of this. We're not in harmony. We're not in health. And the planet is a mirror of the chaos that's going on inside of us. And that if we wake up, not all humans are going to perish here, folks. The ones that are awake are going to thrive into the future.
It's fascinating, Bruce. Thank you for sharing all that. Because you don't hear in the media at all about the immune system, how to take care of it, what action steps we could do and to be supporting our own health. Like, it's all fear. I often ponder, and I don't know whether it's just my thoughts went off, but I wonder sometimes if COVID was never mentioned in the media from the start and it just kind of went through and without the microscope, what would have actually happened to the results of the human population as it went, and how much that's contributing, you know?
Well, it sure as hell wouldn't be the percent of people that are affected by it as of today. But today, as I said, it isn't just their own personal stress from the fear of COVID. It's a stress at every level of survival.
Yeah,
Everyone has to go out and get the income. The income is a measure of survival. And if your income goes down, 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 and you're living at the very edge, you're already at the edge of survival. And the idea is you don't need, just push the COVID on top of that. And then it's the last straw. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak. So that last straw is like, I needed that. And the fact is, it's not, I don't know where it comes from outside of, number one, greed. Number two, it's an expression of Darwinian evolutionary theory, which allows for what? The elimination of the the weak ones, which says, in fact, you should support this. What do you mean? He said, overpopulation, which is from Thomas Malthus, which gave us the belief that there will never be enough. Overpopulation is part of a Darwinian theory that says that's why the other ones die. They were not fit enough, so allow them to die. And I go, you can have like 2 million people in Africa die of starvation. Everybody goes, oh, that's Darwinian. I go, what do you mean it's Darwinian? That's a human civilization. What the hell are you talking about? Because Darwinian theory is wrong. But if you practice Darwinian theory, the fullest out practice of Darwinian theory, Nazi Germany. You took that as the science book of what? Racial extinction, superiority of this genetics over that genetics and all that. And I go, that is Darwinian theory. Get rid of the weak ones. They decided who was going to weaken and kill them before they got there. Okay. And the idea about that is this is anti-evolution. Evolution is cooperation. And what I'm saying is, are we in a situation because there's a conspiracy to control like that? Or is that control because of like the money? Or is that control because honestly, the science that they are programmed with, Darwinian theory says, this is what we would do with an overpopulation. And I go, I don't know which way to look at it, because both I did it for the money or I did it because I wanted to save civilization are both creating the same conclusion. And I don't trust the drug companies. So number one, I got a problem right there.
I don't know how many people do anymore. Yeah, no, there's plenty to ponder on, Bruce. If anyone wants to get more of your work, there'll be linked below the show notes. But if you could say it out loud as well, the best
Oh,
website
yeah.
to check you out.
It's really wonderful. There's a website, which is so simple, brucelipton.com. It's a new website just in the
I
last
saw
month.
that. Yeah.
And it's got a community section to it where people that want to share their histories, whether they be medical or social or whatever they want to share with the community, using the science and having conversation. This is great. This gives them an opportunity to talk to people about issues. I have a kid that has this, and then somebody can write in and say, yes, and this is what we did. And, you know, so they can share this information, because sharing knowledge is sharing power. And so I'm happy about that, because it gives power back to the person on the web to make a communication that could help other people as well.
Amazing. Amazing. Bruce, thank you for everything. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for all that you do and being a voice out there. You know, you've been a huge influence on me over the years. And I'm just grateful to be able to do this and pay it forward in other ways as well. So,
well, I'm thankful for your focus that this is to your mind has relevance to it. But B, I also thank you for your effort to bring this out into the world, which means the audience that is going to watch this, I want to thank them, because by paying attention to this program, they become what I call cultural creatives that can change the world, because the thinking is not going to be found in the box that is collapsing. The thinking is outside that box. And so I want to thank you for being a broadcaster, a clarion of this outside the box thinking, because it is the way to thrive into the future, not survive, but thrive. And I hope we all do that, because the more people that do, the more this actually is heaven, which I think it is.
100%. What a beautiful place to end it. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you.
Thank you. So appreciate it, Guy.